Welcome back. Today I'm going to attempt Puzzle Rush Survival on chess.com. If you're not familiar with my channel, I'm not a titled player or a chess coach. I'm just a random person who enjoys chess and tries to get better at it. If you're not familiar with Puzzle Rush Survival, it's where you start with easy puzzles. They get progressively harder until you miss 3 of them. My top score pictured up there on the screen is 48, but I usually hit around 30 something. Anyway, let's just go. No further introduction needed. All right, I am playing with the black pieces. It looks like I have checkmate here. Okay. Very often the first several will be checkmate. In this case, I think we have a checkmate down here because of my knight guarding that square. And here, because my bishop guards the getaway square, I have checkmate on the back rank. In this puzzle, it looks like I can just take their queen. They will be able to check me, and then I will get out of check, and I'll just be ahead. But is there a checkmate? I should check that first before I do anything else. I do have a check here, but then they would take my queen, so I think I'd just take their queen. That's what I would do in a game here. I don't know how that can be wrong. Okay, sorry, I was hesitating, but it seemed fairly obvious at the beginning. Here I have a checkmate down here. I don't think there's anything they can do about that because I'm not in check, right? No, not yet. Okay, if it was their turn, they would have checkmated me. Okay, here they have attacked my bishop, but do I have any checks? I do have a check right here, which they can block with their queen. Wait, if I check here and they block with the queen, my bishop is guarding that square, so I would just take it and that would be mate, so I think that's probably it. Oh, it didn't go to the next move. Okay, black to move. I have checkmate right here. That's weird that both my rooks got down to their back rank, but yeah, I'm not in check, am I? No, so that's checkmate right there. Okay, and here I have checkmate on g2 because of my bishop guarding the queen. And here I have a checkmate because they gave up guarding the f2 square, and my knight is protecting it. Oh, they've discovered an attack against my queen, but if I take this pawn, I think that's checkmate. So, very nice. Well, that I think was a blunder to put the rook right there where my queen can take it. They'll be forced to move over, and then I'll have checkmate. After the rook takes my queen, I will take their rook. I'm pretty sure, because again, I'm not in check. My queen isn't pinned. So yeah, it has to be down there to f1 twice. They didn't want to take my pawn, so they moved past it. What can I do? I don't have a check in this position, so it's definitely not checkmate. My knight is pinned. Okay, so suddenly we skipped from checkmates or just a simple hanging queen, and suddenly we're in an entirely new category of puzzle here. I don't know what the category is. Well, I can't check, so do I have any captures? This is the first one that I saw. The bishop is just sitting there. They were really worried about this for some reason, and they left their bishop hanging. It has to be that, right? Sorry, I said it wasn't a hanging piece, but maybe it is. Okay, it was. I just didn't see the hanging piece right at the beginning. They have attacked my queen. Looks like all their pieces are defended except for that pawn. However, I have a check down here with my rook. That's a safe check. That would leave the king 2 legal moves, both of which I could answer by going down here with my queen to c8, which I think would be checkmate. I'm going to try that and go right here. I think that's checkmate because my queen, cut off that escape square there. This one is... I'm playing with the white pieces. Yeah, this one's a very simple checkmate. Again, let me make sure I'm not in check because it's always embarrassing when I make a move and then it doesn't let me in. Oh, it's because I'm in check. Do I have any checks here? I do have a check. That's probably not the answer. Is that my only check? No, it's not my only check. I can also check with this knight. They could just move over and then I would win their queen. Or it doesn't matter whether they move over or take it, their queen is undefended. I think that's the tactical motif here. Let me check material. We each have 3 minor pieces and 2 rooks and a queen, so we're completely even on material. I think it just has to be that, right? Because they left their queen there? Okay. Okay, if it was my opponent's turn, this is what I'm seeing immediately. They could come down here and check me, and then when I got out of check, they would win my rook. No, I would block that check, never mind. Okay, but I need to check them probably. Well, what checks do I have? I have a check with the rook down here, but that's that's triply defended. All 3 of those pieces are guarding g8, so that's probably not good. Oh, also their bishop. Their bishop is also guarding g8. So almost all their pieces are guarding that square, so I don't think checking there is a good idea. For one thing, I don't know how they would take back. I also have this check over here with the queen on d4, which I think they would have to block with their queen, and then that's checkmate. Okay, let's try that. Oh, they didn't block with their queen. Okay. I have checks here. This first check that I saw, well, that doesn't work because they take it, but my rook is currently cutting off those squares. So what if I check with my bishop first? I don't think they can, I mean, they can block it with the pawn, which I would just take, and then they have to move over. Then I bring the rook down. So I think that's it. Yeah, they blocked with the pawn, and then this should be checkmate. Okay, I'm doing fairly well. I've had almost entirely checkmates or hanging pieces. I think it was the queen a couple times. It was the bishop. Here I am 2 pieces behind. But I don't know why I shouldn't just take this rook. I'm pretty sure they have to take back. Then I would check with the other rook, and they could block with the bishop, but I would take that too, and that's checkmate because they can't get out here because of this bishop. So I'm going to take their rook, and then I'm going to check down here on a8. Oh, they did block with that bishop. Okay, yeah, I think that's checkmate. Okay, well, the first thing that I noticed was that this pawn is missing. And, I don't know how that pawn came to be missing, but it is. So my rook is guarding b7 right in front of the king. I don't want to take it with my queen because their rook is there. But what if I took with my rook? I think if I took with my rook, they're forced to go over. I would check again, and they would come back, and my queen is still hanging there. Oh, how do I get out of that? That's the problem. Wait, I think I got it. Yeah, I do take on b7 first, which forces them over, and then I check here when they come back. I bring the other rook over, which would be hanging if I left it where it was, but I bring it over to b1, and then that's checkmate. So let's try that. Oh, what? Okay, sorry. I could have sworn it was going to make me do the next couple of moves, but maybe there were more options after that. Okay, here the first thing that I noticed is that my f-pawn is missing, so this rook is part of the party too, besides the queen and the bishop. I don't want to check there with my queen because their rook is guarding that square. But if I start with the rook, I think, yeah, they're forced to take with their rook. That's the only legal move at that point. And then I would take with my queen, and that would be checkmate, I think. Okay. Each one of these, I'm worrying that I'm missing something, so I pause just a second, glance around the board. This is an interesting position. They have surrounded my king with these 3 pieces. I mean, they're probably going to checkmate me really soon. If it was their turn, I think they would go here and then down. I'm not sure what they would do after that, but it's getting pretty bad. But it's my turn, and I have a couple of pieces pointed at their king, but they're all kind of not quite pointing in the right directions. And the only piece that I can currently check with is this knight, which can check over here. If I check with the knight on h3, I need to evaluate all the checks. That's why I'm starting there. If I check with the knight on h3, I don't think they would move out of check because then I would take their rook and that would be checkmate. So I think if I check with the knight on h3 that they're going to capture it with the pawn. If they capture it with the pawn, then I need to check them with my queen, I think. But not here, because their queen and rook are guarding that square. And not here, because their pawn on h3 would be guarding that square. So I think I would have to check them on g5, and their only legal move would be to move over, and then I would have mate. I think. I mean, it is starting to get a little bit more complicated, and I keep looking down at these pieces to make sure none of them are guarding any of the relevant squares. So let's try that. They did take there, so again, it has to be g5, I'm pretty sure. Nothing else makes sense. Let's do that, and then come down here. This should be checkmate. Again, I'm checking their other pieces to make sure none of them are guarding that square. Okay, I got a pretty good start to this, but one thing that's happened in the past is I'm like, oh, these are easy, and then I run into one that takes me like 10 minutes. So I'm trying to, pace myself. Here I don't have to, right? That's just a one-move checkmate. This one seems like it should be rated way lower than the 1200 range. They don't have any pieces guarding that square. I'm not in check. My queen's not pinned. So that one was rated 1237, and it was easier than some of the ones in the 500s. Very strange. I mean, I was going to say I don't have any checks, but I do have 2 checks. And in both cases, that pawn is pinned. So they would not be able to capture my knight if I checked on either d3 or b3, but the king could just move. Oh, but if I checked on b3, then I would win their queen? Is that this one? I check here. They can't take because my queen would be pinning that pawn, so they would have to get out of check. Oh, they could just take with the other pawn. Wait. But if they took with that pawn, then I have checkmate. And if they move out of check, then I win their queen. Okay, so it's probably knight to b3 then. Oh, they did take with that pawn. Well, then I have checkmate, don't I? That's checkmate? Okay. I thought they weren't going to take with the pawn and I was going to get their queen, but they didn't want me to take their queen. They wanted to lose the game right now. White pieces. Oh, I'm way down on material in this one. Look at that. I have almost no pieces left. But it's a good thing that I can go right there with my bishop, because isn't that checkmate? Just checkmate in one? Because my queen's cutting off all these squares, and they can't block that bishop's check with anything. Well, it's probably that then. Okay. I have a feeling that so far this has been just a little bit easier than the last couple of times I tried this. Okay, again, we have a checkmate in one. What, right? There's nothing they can do about that. I'm not in check, so okay. Very nice. Okay, this one is a little bit different. They've aimed their rook at my queen. I don't have any checks with my queen other than coming up here, because if I, escape to, like, say this side, what if I do just escape to h2? What are they going to play then? Because I'm threatening checkmate two different ways. Okay, well, let's say I play queen to h2 because I kind of want to. Would they check me? I don't think so, because I would capture it with this rook. I do notice also that I have a bishop pointed there at f2, but I don't know that that's relevant. It just happens to be there pointing. Let's see, queen to h2. I guess they could check me here, and then I could just move over? Or would I take it? I think I would just move over, because if I took it, then they could check me again. I'm guessing that's what they're going to do, and this might not actually be the answer, but I'm going to play queen to h2. Oh, they checked me with the queen. I thought they were going to check me with the rook, because I'm just going to take the queen with that. Okay. Am I in check? No. Is my queen under attack or pinned? Okay, I thought about this double check here. It's a check from the knight and the queen, so they couldn't take the knight with the pawn. They can only get out by moving over, in which case I would check there with my queen. They're going to take, and then I will have mate by putting the knight back where it is, I'm pretty sure. Just like this. That's called a smothered mate, I think. Very nice. I'm glad I saw that. Oh, I kind of have a feeling I'm going to get a smothered mate of some kind here too, because look where the king is. It only has two outlets here. I should just check there now. Nothing that they have is guarding that square, and that guards this getaway square. It would force them to come out. No, they can't come out that way because the bishop would be guarding it. It's just a mate in one. Oh my. Okay, they've brought their rook back. I don't know why. It was safe there because that pawn was pinned, so I could not have captured their rook. But they brought it back to attack my queen. So, they must have had a reason for that. Oh wow. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I spent all that time and didn't look at all my checks. I have checkmate in one right here. This one shouldn't have been this high rated, but maybe other people have the same trouble seeing this that I'm seeing. That's just checkmate, is it not? Oh my goodness. It took me like 3 minutes to see that. Okay, I'm in check. If I block with the bishop, which would be my natural tendency, I guess they could take it, and then I would take back some way or another, and then they would have this pawn over here. But I also noticed that if I wasn't in check, their queen is hanging. But what if I push this pawn here, then they have two pieces hanging, and they can only save one of them. Are they going to save the queen or the bishop? I guess they could go here, lose the bishop for a pawn, and I would take it, and then they would run away with their queen. I'm going to block the check with the pawn. That seems best. Okay. Oh, they ran away with their queen, so do I take their queen first and then get their bishop? Oh, that's a good question. Well, no, if I take their queen first, then they save the bishop. Well, let me count the material here. We both have all four of our minor pieces, and looks like we've only had a couple of turns here, but they brought their queen and bishop out really fast. Maybe they were trying to do, a scholar's mate or something. Well, yeah, if I take the bishop now, then they can take that pawn with their queen, and I'll be in check, but I'll be a piece ahead. But if I take the bishop and they take my queen and I take their queen, then I'm a piece ahead either way. So yeah, I think I should take the bishop with the pawn. Dang. Okay, well, sorry, I only have one legal move here. Why is this in the puzzle? That's forced. I have 1, 2, 3 checks. I'm not counting that one. I don't think I should count that one. I can also take the bishop. I think I should check with the rook. The D rook right here, right? Down on D1. Because they can't block with the rook because their rook is currently pinned, but they could block with the bishop. Okay, I paused for several minutes and I could not think of how to get out of this situation. It doesn't matter whether I use my queen or my rook to check on the first rank. They can block with the bishop. I think I figured out how to win if they block with the rook, but if they block with the bishop, I don't know how to win. So that brings me back to the capture here, which is taking the bishop first. But if I capture the bishop, they can't take with the rook because, again, the rook is pinned, but they could take with the king. But if they take with the king, now my rook and queen are both pointed here. Okay, that's probably it, right? And I pick up the bishop and the rook. No, their knight's guarding the rook. Their knight's guarding the rook. What am I thinking? I thought I had it for a second, but yeah, I just remembered their knight is guarding the rook. Okay, so if I take the bishop first, they don't have to take back, but I'm guessing that they would because then I might have a mate here. I don't know, but I'm also keep looking at this. They can check me with this knight and my queen's undefended. So yeah, I keep looking at that. I would easily win the knight, but then they get my queen. Okay, again, I paused it for a long time. I've used up so much time today, and a lot of it is on this puzzle. I can't figure out what to do if they block with the bishop, right? If I check here, if I check there, they can block with the rook or the bishop. But I think they would block with the bishop because if they, like I said earlier, if they block with the rook, then I can push this pawn. And they have to move away from the rook, and I could take it. But then, oh no, then they would take with their bishop. Yeah, see, that doesn't work. Either way, they can block with something there. The same thing is true over here. If I check over here with the queen, they block with the bishop or the rook. If I check with the rook down here, they block with the bishop because the rook can't move. They have to block with the bishop, I think. And then if I take it, they just take it. But I still have this check. And the pawn is guarding those two getaway squares, and the rook can't get in front. Okay, it's probably that. Okay, wow, that took me so long. Is it? Hopefully it's this. Okay. My goodness. Should I have been able to see that from the beginning? Wow. Okay, well, I did say earlier that, you know, they were going to be easy, 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 and then suddenly they were going to be very hard. That one was very hard for me. I don't know if it was hard for anybody else. Here in this position, I do have a check. Oh, I also have this check. I like that check. I also have a free knight because, you know, if it's my opponent's turn right now, I'm in big trouble, I think. That's probably not it. I think they would take it. I would have a follow-up, but then they would move out of check. What about this check? If I take the pawn on e5, my opponent has two legal moves. Either way, I would have a follow-up protected by the pawn. So if they had gone to d8, that would be checkmate because the pawn guards the getaway square. If I check on e5 and they went this way and I checked again, they just move over a little further and I still have checkmate either way. Wait, is this one going to be that much easier than the last one? Because this is a very obvious first move. If they go to the d file, I have mate immediately. If they go to the f file, I have check, they move over. Nothing's guarding that square. Nothing's guarding this square, correct? Okay, I'm going to do that, and then this, and then check down here, because that's checkmate. How was that one rated higher than the previous one? Okay, here it looks like I have a fairly easy checkmate. I will check here, they'll move over, I'll check again, they'll come back, and then I'll have check with the other rook. No, they're guarding that square. Okay, so it's not that easy, because their bishop way back here is guarding h7. Okay, so I have to be careful. But I can take the bishop. Could I just take the bishop first? But then my opponent would figure out something, right? They have something that they could play. They would have this check, but I'm not worried about that. And they can't get to my back rank right now. If they could, I would be toast. Oh no, I just saw it. Their queen and their rook are both pointed right here. I would be forced to move over, and then they'll have checkmate. Okay, so I shouldn't take the bishop is the answer to this one. If I check first, they move over, and I check again. Then they take that rook with their bishop, and then I check up here with the pawn on e5, and all they can do is either move back to g8, in which case I would checkmate them with the queen, or block with the rook, in which case I would take it, and then they have to move over and I checkmate them with the queen. Okay, so back to the original plan of taking both of those pawns. Hopefully this is, yeah, I've already spent a lot of time on this. Yeah, I'm going to take right here, which I couldn't have done while the bishop was in the way, but I am checking, and I'm going to take that, and then I would have had mate after they moved over one. Oh boy. Yeah, they're getting tough now. Am I in check? Oh, I'm in check. Good thing I looked for that. Yeah, I'm definitely in check here. Oh, and it's a fork. That means I have to take it with the rook, don't I? Okay, so since I am in check, and it's a fork with my queen, but I want my queen to be able to take this rook, which would be mate if that rook wasn't there, I think I should use this rook to take the knight. That would leave the other rook undefended, but of course, if they take that, I'd go down here and this is checkmate. I mean, after blocking with the rook and queen in turn. Well, what if I take the knight and they don't take my e-rook? What if they do something like checking me here? Then I guess I could get out of check. Then they could check me here. But my rook is sitting there, so they probably wouldn't. I'm going to take the knight with my rook. Oh, they did check me down here. Well, I'm going to go this way. Wait, I mean, I only have 2 choices. 3 choices. I have 3 choices. Okay, if I go up here, they won't check me down here because the rook's guarding the square. They won't check me here because my king's guarding that square. They won't check me here because my king's guarding that square. They check me here, my queen and my rook are guarding that square. If they check me up here, my rook will take it. So I think I want to go up to d6 to keep from getting checked again. I think. Oh, they did take that rook. Well, I'm not in check now, so I'm going to go down here and take this rook with check. I think they could block with the queen. In the original position, they could block with the queen, but maybe after the queen moved, they couldn't. Okay, I'm starting to feel the mental fatigue set in because I've been here nearly an hour, even though the video that you watch will be much shorter. I am playing with the white pieces. I have a rook that is protected by the knight, and I have another knight, but that's it. They have 2 rooks and a bishop. Oh, am I trying to checkmate? Is that what I need to do? What can they do if I play knight to d7, aiming for this checkmate over here? Can they do anything about that? There might be a better move. But yeah, I'm starting to feel tired even though I haven't gotten to 40 yet. I don't even know if that's my goal here. Maybe my goal is to win a piece or something. Like that pawn's free because if they take, then I would take, but then they would still be up in exchange. So I think I should aim here, and I don't know what they're going to play because the next move would be checkmate. I don't think they can get out of that. I'm going to try for checkmate, I guess. It just stopped. Okay. That's always a little bit of a surprise. I kind of want to push this pawn forward. I mean, I have a pawn that far down in the opening. This is the opening, right? We're not even in the middle game yet, are we? I mean, I've lost a knight somewhere, and they lost a knight somewhere. We've already traded off a knight and maybe a pawn, but I've got a pawn all the way down there. Maybe it was my E pawn that took something and then took something and got up there. Maybe it was my B pawn that took something and got up there. I don't know. But if I push it forward now, not only is that a check from the bishop, which I assume they would capture with the queen, but it's setting up a checkmate. I think when I push this forward, I think their only legal move would be to take the bishop. And then that's checkmate, and that's it. But I think I just push it forward, and I'm aiming for checkmate. Oh, I didn't even see that. But yeah, they had two legal moves there. But this is checkmate, I'm pretty sure. Okay. What do we have? I have checks. I have check with the bishop, which they can block. I have a check with the knight, which they can run away from. Oh, I just realized their queen's way down in here. Why is their queen way down in here? It's pinning my rook. Well, that's irritating. Okay. But back to what I was saying. If I check with the knight to f6, they have to move over, but then I don't have a follow-up. If I check with the knight over here to d6, which is a free pawn, then they can come toward me or move over, and I could take the rook. So I'd go up the exchange. So I should do a material count, is what I should do. Right now, we both have two rooks and a queen, and I have two minor pieces. But my opponent has three minor pieces, so my opponent is up on material. I didn't count pawns, but it looks like they're up a pawn too. So taking this evens out the pawn situation and gives me a passed pawn, by the way. And whichever one they chose, if I took the rook, let's assume that they would take back with either the bishop or the knight or the king, all three of which would be able to take back. I would still be a piece down, but also up in exchange. So it would have improved my situation slightly, I think, but I don't have anything else. Oh, I said they could block with the bishop. If they block with the bishop, I'll just take it because there's a pawn there. Or I could just take it with the pawn, maybe. They don't have to block, though. They could just move over. And then what do I do? What do I do if they just move over? Okay, well, again, I've spent so much time on this. I've got to do something. It's either the bishop or the knight, correct? I kind of liked this at first, but I don't know. You know what, though? That's the only one that looks like I win any material out of, so I'm going to try that one, and then if it's wrong, we'll find out why at the end. Oh, that was it. Okay. And then I thought I would take the rook, but should I take the rook? Taking that extra pawn doesn't seem to help a lot. I guess I'm going to take the rook. Oh, it wasn't that. Okay, well, we'll find out what it was at the end. I'm not as upset by that. Like I said, I'm starting to exhaust myself here. If I take this, they only have one legal move, and then I don't know what I would play after that. But that is a check. That's why I saw that first. You know what? What if I took it with my bishop? Let's take it with the bishop because they still only have one legal move. But then I come in here and whichever way they go, then I'll have checkmate. Okay, let's take it with the bishop. Oh, it stopped. Okay, good. All right. Yeah, I'm going to be speeding up here just because of aforementioned fatigue. Do I have any checks? That's not a check. That's check. That seems bad. My king got into some sort of problem here. That's a little irritating. If I take the bishop, that's a check, but then they take here and it's bad. What if I push this pawn? If I push this pawn, do they checkmate me? Yeah, they checkmate me. Okay, that's bad. Am I playing with the white pieces? Because, yeah, this looks really bad for me. What can I possibly do in this situation? Is there anything, like, everything's defended. The rooks are defending each other. Rook and the queen are defending each other. Queen's defending the knight. Pawn and bishop are defending each other. King and the knight and the queen are all defending that pawn. What do I even have? I mean, I could take this pawn. That's not even a check. They're still going to checkmate me. Because they come down here, I have to move over. And then they come down here, I take with my rook, they bring their rook, and that's mate. So I have to check. Well, my only checks that I see are those two, taking the bishop or putting my queen down on c8. If I check on c8 and they take, which I think would be their only legal move, then I would have the follow-up check of the knight either over to a7 or over to d6. And if I went to a7, I think they would just move their king. If I went to d6, they could just take that. My other check is taking the bishop. What happens if I take the bishop? They take with the pawn, and then I go here, and that's checkmate. Okay, it's probably that then. And wow, okay, that one definitely should be rated over 2,000. That one seems difficult. Here I have a check, I have a check. Oh, both of those are double checks because of the bishop. Okay, well, that's nice. They can't go here because of the pawn. The pawns are guarding those two squares. After I move the knight, the bishop will be hitting, those two squares. My rook is coming through here, hitting all of these squares. And if I move the knight, it won't be guarding that square anymore. Question is, do I put the knight down there and the king can go down? Or do I put the knight over here and the king has to go down? Because either way, the king will have to go there, right? Because of all the squares I just said were cut off. Okay, so let's go here. Let's double check. King has to go back to e2. And then the only check I have is putting the knight back where it is. And the only safe check, because I can't take the rook down there just yet. Okay, what about this? And the king goes down. Then then I don't have another check other than moving the knight back where it is. Is there anything else? Something else that I'm missing? Wait, what if I bring the knight over here? Because I can move the knight anywhere. What if I put the knight over on b3? The king still has only one legal move, but from b3, then the knight will be guarding this rook check. And then the king would have to go further down, and then I would checkmate with the bishop. I'm going to try that, and check here with the rook, and then checkmate with the bishop. Okay. Oh, black pieces. I don't have a lot of pieces left. That's depressing. I have a couple different checks. I can check with the knight there. I can check with the knight over here. Either way, my rook is cutting this off and this, and my king is cutting two of those squares as well. I can also check with the rook. If I check with the rook, my f knight is hitting those two squares, and over here, my king is cutting off these two. The rook would be hitting those two, and these two would also be covered by the other knight. That would give the king three choices. If I check with the knight, let's say here, my rook's cutting this off, the other knight's hitting this, and that knight would be hitting here. That would give them four choices. Wait, I can check with the other knight too. Okay, so if I check with the d knight, it will be cutting off these two squares, and the f knight is cutting off these two. My king's cutting off here, so that would give them four choices. Did I even ask what would happen if I went over here? Because then the rook's cutting this off, that knight's hitting here, this knight's hitting here. That gives them four choices. Yeah, I don't know what I would do after that. There's probably some, long involved tactic here that I just don't have time to go into. So, what? Sorry, it almost scared me how quickly it disappeared. I thought I was just going to get it wrong so I could end this. I have no idea why that was right. In this one, I can check here and win a rook. Is that the answer? Because I am down a rook right now. If I check there and they have to come up, and then I could win their rook. But I'm not sure what they would do after that. I could also check here with my queen on e3, and then I don't know whether they would move or block with the rook, and then I could have this check, and then I don't know what they would do. Would that be mate? Okay, so I think I'm checking with the queen first. Oh, they went that way, so this is looking like it could end up being checkmate here pretty quick, like right now. Okay, that one seemed relatively easy for rated 2243. Okay, here I only have two rooks left. I think I should check this king, but if I do, he's going to come toward me. But then when he comes toward me, I can get this pawn. And hear me out. What if I take the pawn first? And of course, the reason I saw that is because, I would check here. So if I would check here, wouldn't I want their queen to be down here? But if I take this, they don't have to take me. They could check me. I don't know. If I take this, yeah, they have this check. I move, they take that with check. I move, they go there, and I've just lost a rook. Okay, I'm going to check here first. Okay, we'll find out why in just a minute. In this one, I think I can take this pawn with check. They have to come up, and then I would check here with my bishop, which they would block with the pawn, and then I would bring this rook over, I think. Oh, it wasn't. Okay, I'm kind of glad it's over, which usually happens on these things. But I hit 41, which I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's my highest one in a while. It says my 5th of all time, so probably my highest one in a while. Okay, let's just look at the 3 that we missed before I go over an hour and a half here. Okay, in this one, the opponent moved their queen in here. I don't remember which move I chose, which one of these. Was it that the one oh no. Oh, okay, I got that one right, but then I took the rook. Taking the rook was wrong, so I should have at that point done something different. Taking the bishop, I just pick up a piece that way? Probably not. Oh, that was it? I got a pawn and a bishop? I mean, the bishop was free, whereas if I know that if I took the rook, I would also lose my knight and just go up the exchange like we mentioned in the thing. Okay, so after this, I pick up a pawn because we did say that I was a pawn down, right? I only have 4 pawns and my opponent has 5. So now we're even on pawns. They have to move. It doesn't really matter which one of those they go to. I'm going to take the bishop. If they had gone down there, then I take the bishop with check. So they come up here. If I take the rook, we're even. But if I take the bishop, I'm ahead +5. I guess the lesson is that it's better to take a completely free piece than to go up in exchange, I guess. Also, I'm threatening this pawn, which can't get away. I guess they have to try to move to defend it, in which case I'm going to get away. No, that's not getting away. This knight's going to have a hard time getting away. If they go over there, I think I just go ahead and take this pawn anyway. So, okay, I think I got that. I think I understand. Let's go to the next one that I missed. These last two here. The opponent moved their queen over. Was this right? Surely not, because they just took it, though. Because if I thought they were going to do that, then yeah. Wait. Did I miss something? Yes, I did miss something. Oh my goodness. I talked myself out of it, but this is a check. They have to take it. Oh my goodness. I mean, they didn't have to take it, but if they didn't, I would have gotten their queen immediately. How did I talk myself out of that? I talked myself out of it because I forgot that that's a check, and I thought that they could check me. Well, that one I completely understand, and I should have gotten it almost immediately. I just talked myself out of it. Okay, very bad. I don't have to go to the analysis board for that one. And the last one that I missed was this one, in which case the opponent took my rook, and I took this, didn't I? I took that, and that was wrong. Okay. But what I should have done instead was not take that. Maybe moving the bishop first. Not threatening mate or anything. Okay, what if... Oh, it was moving the bishop first. I'm not sure why I moved the bishop first. But now since they put their queen there, I think this is obvious. And then I'll just take their queen. I do need to go to the analysis board for this one. I mean, I know why I decided that moving the bishop first was a possibility. That's because I've been wanting to get my rook over here, but I thought I needed to check first. Okay. After the opponent's first move, which was a huge mistake to take the rook, what is the problem? Oh, wow. I see the problem with taking the pawn now. Never mind, the queen takes it. But what am I aiming at with the bishop? And what if they didn't play queen to e4? It says queen to e4 is their best move, but what if they didn't play that? What if they played what I thought they would play, which is come after my bishop? They came after my bishop. I now have mate in 3, which is to start with the check, and then they can't move the king because of where my queen is. Okay, what if they didn't come after the bishop? Right, but what human's going to... Right? Let's say I'm playing a person, not even at my rating level. Let's say I'm playing a person that's a little better than me. I don't know, 1,500, 1,800. Are they going to look at this position and think this is their best move? They're going to A, see that I'm attacking the rook. It's not free, but it's an exchange. And B, I'm not threatening mate here, right? Because their bishop's guarding that square. All I'm doing is threatening the rook. And I'm also threatening to bring my rook over. Okay, maybe they would see that. Maybe, someone at the 1,500, 1,800 level, probably even at my level, might see that the reason that I moved the bishop was to get this rook out. That's reasonable that they would see that. Would they then see that if they just, I don't know, played the H pawn or the A pawn, and me bringing my rook over would be mate in 1, right? No, still mate in 3, because they could block with the queen and then block with the bishop. Okay, would they see that? I'm positive someone at my level would not choose this. But maybe someone at a higher level would. I don't know. If I knew that, I would be at that level instead of mine. But yeah, that's their best move. And then this is what I was going to do anyway. So now I'm going to get the queen for a rook. So they're going to take it and I take back. Okay, so I understand. And yeah, this was really brilliant on my part to try to give away the queen for a pawn, which is basically what I did. Oh yeah, I'm out of time. Sorry. But it doesn't feel like I'm ahead here, but I know why I failed the puzzle. So thank you for spending your time here. I'll see you next time.